Okay, my talk, as you've heard, is called The Son of Moog. First of all, it's a Star Trek talk, so is there anyone who's not into Star Trek? Yeah, you're fucked. Just go to your happy place or something. For the rest of the really cool people, let me just start with how I came about doing this talk. It started with two conversations with Sabrina, funny enough. The most recent one was, Suk, would you like to do a talk in a pub in one of my events, my first event called 50 Shades of Geek? And I thought, okay, but why me? And she goes, because you're a geek. I am, but I was in denial about it up until that point. And she kind of convinced me because last year I worked at every single Comic Con in London selling superhero t-shirts. I debated with a scientist how Terminator 2 is rubbish because it ignores Isaac Asimov's rules of robotics. And my room is a shrine to DC Comics. So I kind of saw her point there kind of thing, but it wasn't nice that she pointed that out. So I agreed anyway. But closer to the time, I was actually thinking, okay, it's in a pub, it's going to be like 4 of Sabrina's mates around the pub table and we'll have a laugh, yeah? Closer to the time, she goes, it's more like 30 people and there'll be professional comedians. I thought, shit. You know, I've never really done any public speaking before today. The second chat, I should say, is... the second chat was, who's your favourite Star Trek character, which is what this talk is about. And the Son of Moog is Worf, if any of you guys are familiar with Worf. So I said, I thought about it and I said, Worf. And she's like, Worf? Why Worf? He just grunts a lot. Which I got completely offended with, and I just started off on this rant about why Worf is so awesome. It was basically, I said he had to deliver a baby once. Actually, no, I should start off with rolling the video, which is a brief description of how people remember Worf. Maybe?
I am Worf, son of Moog. Perhaps today is a good day. I protest.
I should mention that last scene, it's I put that in there because it's just awesome. It's everything Star Trek should be about, the music and the lighting and the smoke. Yeah, so that's Worf, and he does grunt a lot, he does yell a lot. But basically, I really thought about, after, you know, why I like this character so much. And one of the main reasons is, well, start off with the original series. The Klingons, which Worf is a member of, they were the absolute villains kind of thing. They were representative of the old USSR. And basically Captain Kirk made a good living just killing a lot of them kind of thing. But the Cold War was over in the real world, and then they made the Next Generation, and they put Worf in there as a representative moving on from the Cold War. So basically, Worf was the first Klingon to ever join Starfleet, and that's caused him a lot of problems. A lot of problems. He's a character about tolerance because he tolerates a lot from a lot of things. I mean, one of my two favorite comedy scenes with Worf is once where he has to deliver a baby, and it's Keiko O'Brien's baby, and she walks up to him and she goes, "My water's just broke. I'm about to have my child." He goes, his reaction was classic. It was like, "Now is not an appropriate time to have your baby. You may have your baby tomorrow." Well, he did deliver that baby, and he was all like, "Push, push, push." She's like, "I am pushing." The other thing was he was explaining Klingon mating, which was absolutely brilliant because he's explaining this to Wesley Crusher, who's a terrible character, but he literally he goes off into his own world. He goes, "There's biting and gnawing and clawing and throwing heavy objects and screaming," and he's like, "The men scream?" He goes, No. The men don't do any of that." And he goes, "Well, what do the men do?" He goes, "They read love poetry." I think brilliant. Do you know what? When I first started watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, I could really relate to the Worf character, as aggressive as he was, because I was going through puberty, and I think he's the perfect poster child for all the hormones and everything. On top of that, if you watch the first few episodes, like the first 2 seasons, Worf is a virgin, and he blatantly admits it. He goes, "I would require a Klingon mate," and he's never met a Klingon female in his life. Which kind of, when he did meet one, her name was Kayla, and he finally basically lost his virginity, he literally wanted to marry her. And there's a great line where he says to her, "We've been mated," kind of thing. And she just turns around and says, "I know, I was there." The other thing is they decided to develop Worf. He was very much a 2-dimensional character, roared a lot and everything, and then suddenly they made him a single parent. And he reminded me a lot of like the old-fashioned guys, you know, in the 50s, where it was just about duty, looking after your family, providing money, things like that. To then suddenly society changes, and you have to show your softer side to your kids and things like that. And he was a character that really represented that, and he reminded me a lot of my grandfather, because he done it so wonderfully as well. Because he literally never let himself out until he actually, his son came and went to live with him, and he played cowboys with him, the whole works kind of thing. So that's one of the real reasons I like that character. See, the other thing is he's been through a lot of tragedy, this character. He's lost he was orphaned at a young age. Batman orphaned, like for real, because he remembers his parents, not like Superman, who kind of grew up on a farm and then he realized he had parents that he never met before. Obviously, one of the main things is he's been kind of excommunicated from the Klingon people. So they stripped him of his family honor, and that had one of the most tragic episodes, because he has a brother who wants to commit suicide, and he comes to Worf to kill him because he can't live with the shame of not having any honor. And he basically, instead of killing his brother, he wipes his memory and gives him a new identity. And there's a really sad moment where his brother awakens and asks Worf if they're related, and he says, "No, I have no family." So he literally puts people first, and I think that is the epitome of this character, why he always puts other people ahead, even though it hurts him a lot. In conclusion, why do I like this guy so much, even though he's a grunting alien? Because he is very, very human, and he's human like the guys that have just come in the generation before me. And I've got an end film.
No, we don't.
You don't?
We do not have an end film.
Okay, we don't have an end film.
Everybody.
Any questions?